And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beer Battered Sports Podcast, the podcast created by sports fans for sports fans, because we believe that we are the most qualified people to talk about our favorite teams. I'm your co-host, Isaac.
And I'm 40. Sorry about that. I had to get rid of the wipes there.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You may have noticed today's episode is a little later than usual. There is a reason for that will probably explain itself in about 10 minutes when he gets here. But also, Kylie is not here today, but don't worry, she already submitted her picks for this upcoming week of football, which is what we're going to be talking about today, week 2 of the NFL. Giving our thoughts, we'll be talking about week 3 and making our predictions. But we're going to be doing that with our guest, who, if you look at the title of this episode, you probably know who that is. In the meantime, before he gets on, me and Calvin are going to discuss baseball because the MLB has only got, 1-2 weeks left?
Wait, repeat that one more time, Isaac. Sorry, I lost you for a second.
It's all good, man. I think we're maybe having slight technical issues. Let me just close out a tab. That might help us out. All right. Just make sure. Yeah, I should be fine. Yes. So Major League Baseball only has about 2 more weeks left of the regular season, and we're starting to see some teams clinch playoff berths. Things are getting really interesting as I'm going to take this opportunity to move into my living room because apparently I get better reception out there.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, we've got 4 teams that have already.
The home team being one of them, man. Shout out to the Warriors.
4 teams that have already clinched playoff berths. The Orioles have clinched. The Rays have also clinched. I don't know if the Orioles have clinched the division yet. I think they're still fighting for that.
No, I think, yeah, them and the Rays are still fighting for it.
So they've clinched so those 2 are still fighting. We know that the Braves have clinched the NL East, which is kind of, I wish Kylie was here because she would have had some strong thoughts about that. I know if you guys follow Kylie on Twitter, you know that she was having a meltdown over the Rays, over the Braves Philly series on this past weekend. Man, I wish she was here. She could give her thoughts on that.
I think the Phillies are actually beating the Braves right now.
Good for them. I think the Phillies are going to be a dark horse in the playoffs. I mean, coming off a World Series appearance, the team is arguably better. I'm just looking at what they've done so far this season. And I can see them going deep. I don't know if they'll get past the Braves this year, but they did last year, so it's entirely within the realm of possibility. Yep. Also, the NL West, after all year, we thought that somebody else would finally win it. Nope. Dodgers.
Of course.
They kind of teased us with that too. I really thought the Diamondbacks would have a chance, but they fell off big time, as did the Texas Rangers. They went from leading the AL West for a good chunk of the season to now fighting to stay in the wild card hunt. Looking at the playoffs right now, Baltimore and Tampa have clinched. Houston currently leads the AL West. Good going, guys. The Twins lead the AL Central. And then the other teams that are currently sitting on wildcard spots would be Toronto and Seattle, with Texas being the first one out. Don't look now, by the way, but my Yankees have won, I think, like 14 of their last 20 games and are 7 games out of the wild card. So just putting that out there. I'm not saying we're going to win it all. I'm just saying it's a possibility, I guess.
Well, I did say that last episode, the Yankees, if they can get 4 good games, 4 good wins, and then one of those teams that are a wild card team has 4 losses, they're right back in it at that point.
I'm just looking at the Rangers and Mariners right now, thinking one of you needs to screw up because I don't think we deserve a playoff berth after the way we've played, and I certainly don't think we'll go anywhere in the playoffs. I think we would be a first round exit, but it would be nice to have something good come out of this season, other than all of our young stars showing up. Meanwhile, in the NL, with the Braves and Dodgers having clinched, the Brewers are currently holding on to the Central. And currently the wild card teams would be the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and the Cubs, who are half a game over the Marlins for that final wild card spot. The Diamondbacks are also only half a game above the Cubs for the second wild card spot. So realistically, those 3 teams, plus the Reds, who are only 1 game behind, are all fighting for that final wild card spot. I think the Giants are still eligible too. They're only 3 games behind. And believe it or not, the San Diego Padres are only 6 games out of a wild card berth.
Oh, wow.
It's entirely possible. The only teams currently that have been eliminated from the playoffs, if I can pull up ESPN right now to see who's still in contention. Let's take a look. By the way, for anybody, yes, the Phillies are up 4-2 on the Braves. I think that's why Kylie couldn't come today. Actually, no. The reason Kylie can't come today is because Kylie's in Miami. Want to know why?
Miami.
You know what Kylie's doing in Miami?
Gotta be seeing Lionel Messi.
Yep, Kylie sold Kylie sold her soul for tickets to go see Messi. I don't.
Wow. She signed a deal with the devil.
I mean, to get those ticket prices, you have to. So the teams that have been eliminated so far in the AL, the White Sox, the Royals, the Athletics, and the Angels have all been eliminated. In the National League, the Nationals have been eliminated. The Rockies have been eliminated, and the Cardinals have been eliminated. It is crazy to see St. Louis sitting with a 67-84 record with just 1 week to go.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis isn't like the St. Louis that we grew up watching.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And there's some of those guys on that team still that we did grow up watching, but they're just, they're not the same due to age. So,
yeah. I mean, the other day, I think Adam Wainwright got his 300th career win?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so, 300th.
Let me just double check that. News for Adam Wainwright. 200th career win.
Oh, 200.
We gave him a little too much there, but yeah, he just got his 200th career win, which it looks like, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, maybe his final start of the season, and could be his final ever start as a Cardinal. Which, if so, salute to you, Waino, being one of the best pitchers of the last 2 decades. It's the end of an era. It's weird. We had the same phenomenon happen in football with all the guys we grew up with retiring, and now it's happening in baseball more and more. I know this was Miggy's last year. The Cardinals said goodbye to Yachty and Albert Pujols last season.
Yeah.
It's rough, but it's something as a fan you got to go through because that generation, generations come and go.
I think in football, it might be a little bit more rough though, because like Tom Brady was, I guess Aaron Rodgers, hoping he does come back. He is the last of what we grew up watching as kids and stuff like that. But, Tom Brady was really that last quarterback in the era of that we grew up where, it was like a great set of quarterbacks. Like you had Brady, you had Big Ben, you had Peyton Manning, we had all those guys growing up. And then when Brady left last year, it's like, that's the end of an era. We don't have quarterbacks anymore.
And so I'm trying to figure out a time period to say for it, but I think the best thing to say for it is so I started watching football in 2004. I was aware it existed before then, but I didn't really start watching it until 2004-ish.
I was probably how old were we in 2004?
I was 5, I think, either 5 or 6. I was either 5 or 6.
So you were 5. That means I was 6. So that means that was my first year playing football. So yeah, I was getting aware of football around that time as well.
I feel like the players that were playing during that era, I think the last year it was guys who came in from that era to, I want to say, probably around I'll say from around 2014, 2015, because because it was that era is the era of football, which I romanticize and think back of as, that was the good old days, coming on hearing the theme for Sunday Night Football and being like, oh shit, I got homework in the morning, or begging your parents to stay up late to watch Monday Night Football, or playing football at recess. That was that era that we romanticized. Ever since I got to college, it's been more just, how's my fantasy team doing? Or actually really analyzing it. But it doesn't hit the same. Watching old games from that era just makes that brings me back. I know our guest isn't here, so we can talk a little bit about football. So Monday, ESPN and ABC unveiled the new theme song for Monday Night Football. And it's a cover of Phil Collins's In the Air Tonight. Is it good? I don't know. I don't care. I don't even pay attention to it because as far as I'm concerned, there is only one theme song for Monday Night Football, and it's All My Rowdy Friends Are Here for Monday Night by Hank Williams. because that was the theme for years. That was the theme that you heard that theme. You knew someone was going to get their ass kicked on Monday night because it just made the game seem so much fun. And I understand why they had to get rid of it, because Hank Williams said some shit he probably shouldn't say. But then they brought him back a few years ago before ditching him again, which means, okay, it wasn't that reason. So I'm just bring back Hank Williams Jr. for the Monday Night Football preview. I know he said some messed up stuff in the past, but compared to the stuff that other people have said, I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Actually, I don't really care about that. I'm not going to start an international incident with this. I just want the song back. Don't even bring back Hank Williams Jr. Just get another country star to do it, because it doesn't hit the same if you don't hear, if you don't hear, "Are you ready for some football?" It doesn't hit the same as as Snoop Dogg rapping over Phil Collins in the air tonight. And don't get me wrong, that's a great song, but it just doesn't fit the mood. You know what I'm saying? Rant over. I just need
to definitely. I understand that. Before we get back into baseball real quick, though, can I just say one more thing about football?
Go ahead.
The last 4 Monday Night Football games, Kyler Murray tears his ACL. DeMar Hamlin goes into cardiac arrest. Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. And now Nick Chubb's knee is shattered into pieces. Is Monday Night Football cursed?
That is a very disturbing trend. I knew about the 3 of those. I forgot that it was on Monday Night Football that Kyler tore his ACL. That has me really scared for the Bucks, because we play on Monday night this week.
I'd be more feared as an Eagles fan than a Bucks fan on this Monday Night Football game.
Definitely. Oh, my roommate's about to pass through the back of my shot.
Oh yeah!
Shout out to her and my other roommate for putting up with my podcast every Wednesday. They're the real MVPs. So what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So wrapping up with baseball before our guest comes on, I am curious, Calvin, what is your biggest takeaway from this MLB season? Like, what's one thing that has surprised you the most about this season of baseball? Because there's been some surprising things I've noticed.
Honestly, I mean, I keep bringing it up every week when we talk baseball, but it has to be the Orioles. It just because they're such a young team. It's like for them to be able to do that with such a young team and, clinch probably the division as well as, win. I mean, they're probably going to win over 100 games this season based on their record right now. I think they're actually up on the Astros right now as we speak. So that young Orioles team has definitely been the best surprise this season, just due to the fact that, last season, the year before that, they're just absolute trash. And to see them turn around the way that they did and have the season that they're having is very surprising and incredible. And it's fun to see as a Maryland native for sure. So I think that young Orioles team is definitely the most surprising to me this season.
I would agree. I think that their emergence has been a breath of fresh air, especially considering how the lack of parity we've seen primarily in the American League for the last couple of years. I think it has been a breath of fresh air to see the Orioles come out here and not just win, but kind of dominate. They really have been on another level this season. As trying to get the lighting right in my living room. I think my biggest takeaway is just how many of the big market teams have struggled this year.
Yep.
I mean, both New York teams are on the verge of making the playoffs. One team is on the verge of missing the playoffs. The other is going to miss the playoffs. No offense to the Mets. It's just they're not going to make it.
I mean, we're just trash this year. Absolutely terrible.
We've seen the Padres struggled. The Dodgers struggled for a good chunk of the season. They got it together, but it's the Dodgers. They're going to do that. In general, the teams that we have come to accept that will dominate are not. And that has been what's really surprising to me. And I think that's opened up a new era in which in which baseball teams are no longer going to go for big market stars, because as it's been proven this year by many teams, primarily the Yankees, those aren't going to win you games as much anymore. I mean, you could always try, but that's kind of what it seems to be trending towards, that, the big free agent stars and big free agent signings is not what you need to win.
It's funny because the players I've seen the Yankees get rid of, like Bader. Where did Bader go? The Reds?
Yes, Cincinnati.
And I saw him the other night have a fantastic game, and I was like, wow, just he was in New York this season, and he was not having uh, the same impact as he is right now.
I wish Bader could have worked out. He was great. With that being said, though, our special guest has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Defender of the North.
It's that's me.
Yeah.
You just use first name.
Welcome back to the show, Gnome. He is coming on here to replace Kylie for our NFL discussion this week. And yeah, let's just start off with the most recent games because we were briefly talking about this before you jumped on. Gnome, we had a brief discussion about how two things about Monday Night Football. I said that the new Monday Night Football theme sucks and they need to bring back Hank Williams Jr. I don't give a shit what he said in the past. His theme is what made Monday Night Football special in my childhood, and I am sick and tired of us pretending that it wasn't the best thing about those games. And Calvin brought up the fact that the last 4 Monday Night Football games have seen a player suffer a hideous injury.
We have Kyler Murray. Then we have DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, and then now Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, those are all really bad.
Yeah.
Wow. You think there's anything to that?
I hope we're not getting a Monday Night Football curse.
Oh,
I hope so. I really hope so too. With the exception of DeMar Hamlin, because that was a freak incident. I think that most of those injuries, I'm gonna blame turf fields.
And I forgot as well. The Panthers just lost somebody for the season on Monday Night Football as well this past Monday. So both Monday Night Football games had major injuries this Monday.
They did have that injury. Honestly, I didn't notice who they
lost. A linebacker, I feel like it was. I think.
Oh, it was Shaq, right? It was Shaq Thompson.
Yeah, Shaq. Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was Shaq Thompson. I didn't really notice who they had lost because that game was just hideous to watch in general. Listen, Gnome can.
It's an ugly game.
Yeah, Gnome, you can back me up on this because I was doing this at work watching this game. I'm a Bucks fan. I was being a professional hater that game. The whole game was just, we can beat both these guys. We're gonna sweep these assholes. That was. I'm sorry. The Saints and Panthers are both gonna just, oh man, they're really bad.
You know, he was acting like at work, 40. You know what he was saying? He was like, when Michael Thomas made that catch, he was just like, oh, give it to him. Oh, look.
Wait, no. Hold up. Just because the Saints receivers had a bunch of crazy catches, and that includes Firelord Olave, who, thank you for those fantasy points, Chris. Just because they have a bunch of crazy catches and I can be like, that was an amazing catch, does not mean that I can still be a professional hater and say both these teams are trash for the way they play each other. That's just what I do.
It was funny as well because he was just like, I hate both these teams. Can they both somehow find a way to lose? What's going to happen? Then Michael Thomas basically, she's like, oh, gotta give it to him. Oh, that was in.
It was a great catch.
You're a football fan before you're a Bucks fan. Don't even lie.
Look, I love great football at the end of the day. Do I hate the Saints? Yes. Do I hate the Panthers? God, yes. But if one of their players makes a great play, I'll be like, all right, that was a great play.
And then, of course, they followed up that great play by, with that goal line. That red zone drive was that.
Tell him.
Terrible. I'm just gonna say if it's a designed QB run to the right and your lead blocker is Derek Carr and it requires that to get Taysom in the end zone and he's blocking Jeremy Chin, who is a linebacker playing safety, audible out. It's not gonna work. Like, why would you think that would work? And predictably, Jeremy Chin goes right by Derek Carr, not even noticing he's there. Fucking hit sticks Taysom Hill. He's like, wow, lost 2 yards. And Taysom's like, what happened? Where's my team? What happened? It's like, you should have audibled, bro. That's why you're not the fucking quarterback.
Pull a Pat McAfee, look up and like, we are kicking this or something.
Yeah, you should have just looked right at Jeremy Chin, looked at Derek Carr, saw Derek Carr shaking his head like, I don't know what you think I'm going to do, but nothing. Like, he would bounce off if you tried to block him, so he didn't even bother. Just bad play calling. I don't know what that was. I don't know why teams do that kind of shit. Sometimes you see play calling, you're just like, what was the goal?
Speaking of play calling, I want to go back to the start of the week because there's one play in particular that is taking the league by storm. The Eagles tush push. The Vikings lost to the Eagles mainly because they kept tush pushing it. And now the Vikings and many other teams have said, we want that banned. We don't want that. That is too close to rugby. It is unstoppable. Nobody can stop it. It's breaking the rules of football. Let's ban it. To which the Eagles, of course, responded, well, then just get good. But
I
I'm
mean,
curious what you
honestly,
guys think about the tush push.
I mean, I can't say anything's wrong with it because let's say that was one of our teams, okay, and we're in a big 4th-and-1 situation. It's a tie game, and maybe there's 15 seconds left in the regular in the fourth quarter. We don't want to go to overtime. We get this 4th-and-1 on the goal line, and we can score right now. Or let's say we're down. Let's say we're down 3. I'll put it in that terms. We're down 3. We don't want to go into overtime. We're on this 4th-and-1, and we do the tush push and we score. Now we're up 4. I'm not going to be upset about that. My team just won. So I when it's your team, of course you love it. But when it's against your team, you hate it, and it's like, God damn, I wish they would stop doing that play, or that play is unstoppable, or something of that nature. But at the end of the day, you can't hate a team for doing that. Like the Eagles said, you just got to get good and find a way to stop it. And
there's no way to stop it.
I mean, unfortunately, there's no way to stop it. So it's just, they're going to execute on it every time. But it's not even like I just see the Eagles doing it anymore. The Packers actually tried to do it the other day, but Jordan Love, I don't know what the hell Jordan Love was doing, and he started going forward before he even got the snap, and messed the whole scenario up. So other teams are actually picking up on it as well and trying to do it. So you can't complain about something if the rest of the teams are going to start doing it as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
My take is a little different. Take last season. How many times did we see the Eagles do that in like the Super Bowl to get a first down? It happened all the freaking. It happened it happened so many times, and I was just like, at one point I kind of figured that one play is keeping them in the game, and the Eagles do that a lot. Like for the Eagles, it cannot be stopped because they have that offensive line anyways. It's just like Jalen Hurts going to fall forward and get 3 yards. I have seen like the Chiefs did everything. Like they did everything. They put 11 guys there, and it's like it's not going to be enough because it doesn't matter. It's just like physics. You just fall forward. Jason Kelce goes forward. It really is kind of an unstoppable play. So I do actually hear where they're coming from when they say, it's kind of bullshit. And I don't think saying, hey, just get good and stop it is a fair response when it really is kind of unstoppable. But at the same time, you can make arguments like, hey, you shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, and it's not like 40 said, it's not just the Eagles doing it. Everyone's doing it. Like the Bucs did it a whole lot with Brady. Brady mastered. Yeah. Remember the Patriots too. Like Brady's mastered the 1 yard sneak.
He did.
Yeah, like everyone. So yeah, I don't know. I understand both sides of it for sure.
Well, I'll say this much about the tush push. As long as it doesn't break any rules in the NFL, I say it's fair game. But yeah, the way the Eagles have built their offensive line, like they're not going to ever fail at it, which makes me doubly concerned for Monday night. Not only are we playing the Eagles and their unstoppable play, but it's Monday night, so somebody is going to like lose their left hand in a freak accident.
Anyone can stop it. That's probably the Bucs. Like they have a bit of a just sitting there.
Yeah,
and Jason Kelce's technically undersized. So, I don't know if that matters because it never has before. But,
and well, if you go back and watch the film, Washington stopped it. When we beat them last year.
That is true. You guys did. You also didn't let the Eagles touch the ball.
Okay, yes, but that line is. That defensive line. Jesus, yeah,
and that's right. I think that's to the Eagles. I think that's to the Eagles' point there. Beef your defensive line up, get a great defensive line. You'll be able to stop things like that because, great defensive lines can game plan around those things and stop that.
Yeah, if the game plan is draft people from Alabama and have them just fucking sit there and be huge and impossibly strong, have them all be mini Aaron Donald. And by mini, I mean larger Aaron Donald who are somehow not as strong as Aaron Donald, but still close enough. And then, even the Eagles offensive line is like, do we have to, we just have to fall forward into these guys? Are you serious? I'd rather, put my hands up. Yeah, if you're Washington, you got something.
Nah, I definitely get that point. There was a point in time where we had like 7 starters on defense that were came from Alabama. It was
I remember.
Yeah, those
This
days
was
are long
like when they were
gone.
first discussing the name change. And
Yeah,
they were just like, "Let's Washington Crimson Tide."
that was crazy.
Hey, that era of Alabama though is starting to come to an end. I don't know what's up with the Tide this year, but I don't know. Let's just I know we don't talk about college football, but quick recap. Blew out a cupcake on opening day. Okay. Lost to Texas. That's disappointing. 10-3 win over South Florida. What the fuck?
And the thing about that South Florida win is I think they gave up on Jalen Milroe too fast. And I think Nick Saban actually does that a lot. We've seen him do that all the way back from the, Tua and Jalen Hurts days. And even before that, AJ McCarron, and who was the other quarterback that was there when McCarron was there?
Yeah, who was it? Was the guy they benched?
JT Barrett? Was it JT Barrett?
No,
I'm not sure.
I know who I need to list of Alabama Crimson Tide quarterbacks. We're gonna find this out. By the way, Jaden Milroe is getting the start this week. They tried both backups and were horrified.
They're terrible. They should have. And this is the thing. In college or even in the NFL, I feel like the coaches hold some of the players back from their actual talent. Like they don't allow the players to play like themselves. They want them to play a certain way. Like Jalen Milroe, they're trying to keep him in the pocket more and make him more of a pocket passer and stuff like that. But this guy's elusive. You got to let him be the player that he is and the elusive player that he is, do those read options or do the run pass options and stuff of that nature. Like you got to get Milroe out the pocket more. And we saw that against Texas in that second half. When he was getting out that pocket more, they started to make that comeback. You keep somebody in the pocket or you make them a player that they're not, then, they kind of lose confidence in themselves as a player as a whole. And then on top of that, benching him the next game doesn't give him any more confidence than what you already took away.
You guys are not going to believe who it was. Blake Sims.
Blake Sims.
That's who it was. He did get the starting role in 2014.
I don't recall.
When was Greg McElroy there?
Greg McElroy was there from 2000. Was it Greg McElroy actually?
I think it was McCarron and McElroy who got benched for one another.
If McCarron was there in 2010, it might have been
because
it was McElroy.
Yep, I was gonna say Nick Saban's been doing that. His quarterback has one bad game and he goes to the next quarterback the week after that, and it's like, bro, you're already not undefeated. What is the point of giving up on the quarterback that you were running with in the first place?
Yeah, you got to remember Nick Saban is a perfectionist to another level. Like Nick Saban demands perfection, and if he doesn't get it, like your ass is done.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's right. I mean, benching Jalen for Tua in that one national championship game, definitely the right move. But sometimes I don't know. We'll see though. But back to actual football.
I do want to say one last thing about the Eagles-Vikings game.
Go ahead.
Vikings fumbled 4 times. If that doesn't happen, the Eagles don't win, regardless of the mystique.
And I think the biggest fumble of them all was that Justin Jefferson one with the touchback.
He fumbled a touchdown. Yeah.
Yep.
That would be it.
That would have put them up. That would have if he scores there, they win that game 35-34.
Yep.
Well, that being said, let's go into Sunday's games, and we won't go over all of them. The ones we'll skip because we don't really need to talk too much about them. Buffalo beat the Raiders 38-10.
The Raiders.
Fair enough.
Don't have a team.
The Raiders, I'm glad they showed me their real identity this week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what else. The Colts-Texans game, I don't think anybody really cared about this one, but Anthony Richardson did ball out until he left with concussion. The Colts are going to kill him.
I do want to say that Richardson has definitely impressed me, and I did not expect it to.
I agree with you. I didn't expect that at all. And yeah, the kid has been very impressive, especially after what we saw in the preseason. And then when Noam was on here last time, I was saying about how he went 3 for 22 in that game against when he was at Florida.
Yeah.
But in these first 2 weeks, he's been very impressive.
The problem is he keeps getting hurt because week
Yeah,
one he like bumped his ankle up, and they had to put Gardner Minshew in there. And Gardner Minshew did okay in this game too after Anthony went out with a concussion. But it's like you guys got to protect him. Like
Minshew's pretty familiar with that style of offense. I'm pretty sure it's the same dude who was in Jacksonville with him or something.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Philly.
Philly,
But, yeah, Richardson, I thought he was a couple years away, like total project, and honestly, he just impressed me. But he has to learn to protect himself somehow.
Yeah.
Like they can't. They're kind of reckless. Like he hasn't finished a game yet.
No, the only
before you go forward, Isaac, sorry.
No,
I want to actually say something about that Bills game. The Raiders showed us their true identity in that game, but the Bills did not, because we still don't know what Bills team will get week in and week out. They did what they were supposed to do, honestly. Like they were supposed to blow out the Raiders.
Yeah.
But you go back to that week 1 game, and without Aaron Rodgers, you feel like they're supposed to blow out the Jets as well, with the team that everybody keeps saying that these Bills have, but I have not seen it yet.
You're exactly
you're right. Yeah. Now I have to think about it more. Like I don't. We'll see this week. They're playing Washington. That's going to be a tough one. The only other game that really nothing interesting happened in was Jets Cowboys.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson's first starts in the post Aaron Rodgers era. 3 interceptions.
That was always going to be just a brutal game for Zach. I don't, don't just take that as like, okay, well, Zach Wilson's first thing. I mean, he had no fucking chance at this game. Everyone knew that going in with against that pass rush, and then on top of that, you're Zach Wilson. They had his number from the get-go. He didn't have a chance. That being said, I'm not defending him. He was dog shit, but I think everyone expected it to be.
I think they'll start calling quarterbacks if he doesn't do something this week.
Yeah.
Teddy. I'm just saying. I think Teddy's a good option.
Somebody brought up Colin Kaepernick, and I'm like, as much as I would love to see that, I think that ship has sailed. I don't think Kaepernick's too old to come back.
Is Teddy on the Lions? Did he make the Lions roster?
I think Teddy is a backup somewhere. Where is he? Yeah, he's the Lions' backup quarterback.
He's the Lions. Am I tripping? Yeah. Isn't he on Washington?
No, he is not. Why is Teddy Bridgewater's? Did he play?
I said Teddy. I meant Jacoby Brissett.
Oh, Brissett.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking of when I kept saying Teddy. Yeah.
Yeah, Brissett wouldn't be a bad option.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Brissett kind of flourishes in those situations where he has to come in to replace somebody who's injured.
There are not 32 quarterbacks in the league better than Brissett. I'm not saying he's like great or anything. I'm just saying he knows.
No, I agree with you on that. Like, that's a good point. Like, yeah, he's not elite, but there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him. Hell yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So, outside of those 3 games, week 2 was kind of balling. Every other game was really close, came down to the wire. Just rapid firing before we get into actual discussions. So the Falcons, Bijan Robinson had a breakout performance as the Falcons got to come back and beat the Packers on a game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson had a great day, leading them to a win over the Bengals. Joe Burrow, though, is oh boy. Well, we'll get into that. The Seahawks-Lions played arguably the best game of the year so far. Back and forth overtime thriller with the Seahawks getting the big win. How about that? The Titans stunned the Chargers in overtime on a field goal. My Tampa Bay Bucks, our defense is looking legit as we shut down the Bears, although that's kind of easier. That's a little bit easier than I'm making it out to be.
You should take it.
I'll take it, though.
Dog shit. You guys are much better than I was expecting.
Yeah. The Chiefs and Jags played a defensive classic that was kind of ugly. We'll get into that too. The Rams gave the Niners all they could handle with, again, who is Puka Nacua and why is he so good? Don't get me started on what the Giants did to beat the Cardinals.
Oh God, we have to talk about that.
Yeah, or the Commies and their incredible win over the Broncos, which we'll get into that too. And then you had the Dolphins and Steelers getting big primetime victories in clutch situations. It was just a really good week of football. But I want to first cycle back to, because I want to focus on our teams first, because I feel like they played in 3 of the better games. I want to start with the Ravens. That was a weird game to watch, I feel like, because the Ravens basically controlled that game the entire way through, but weird things kept happening. You know, Lamar kept having these opportunities to break out on, classic Lamar Jackson runs, but they never really materialized. But he did a great job in the pocket, which I was like, all right, that's better.
What I'm saying.
You had Justin Tucker miss a field goal. That never happens. And you had Joe Burrow continuing to play like dog shit. And it's like, what is going on with Cincinnati? That was a big win for Baltimore. That was a statement win for Baltimore. I don't know. Actually, no, not a statement win because it was really close, but it was a good win for them. And it just got me thinking, like, what is going on with Cincinnati?
I will say this. I wouldn't even really call it a statement win for Lamar because Lamar is actually 7-2 against the Bengals in his career.
Oh, he has their number. That's not what I was saying there.
And then on top of that, the guy, when he's an underdog, he's actually 10-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. So, yeah, winning 10 games outright as an underdog is absolutely insane. So it was actually pretty expected. But the other thing is, too, is, we got some worries on the other side. What's going on with Joe Burrow? Even in not being a Bengals fan or anything, it's just like having a love of the game of football. You don't like to see the guys that you are supposed to be taking over to be at the top of the game. Like, we're supposed to be talking about Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, all those guys together in one column, Jalen Hurts or whatever. But it doesn't seem as if Joe Burrow has been playing up to that hype for the last 2 games. And he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL now. It's kind of weird and scary.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely interesting, right?
Very interesting.
For Burrow, I'm not really sure what's going on. It's weird because again, you put it on write it out on paper. This is the best O-line he's worked with in his career, but it's not going great,
right?
And it's going pretty Bengals for how much of an improvement this line was supposed to be, and he's not throwing great. It's weird. It's weird to see. Now I do want to. Maybe this is a cause. I know Zach Taylor has had a lot of success, but I really just, no matter what he does, I have never believed in his coaching ability because his offensive coaching has just been so lackluster. It's weird. Like when a football team has the amount of success the Bengals have had over the last few years, the coach gets the credit, and it's impossible to think that the coach is somehow bad because you have a bad coach, you have a bad team. Everyone knows that. You have a good team, probably coach has got to be something, right? And they've had consistent success since they got Burrow. And you could say, oh, is it due to Burrow? Is it due to coaching and everything like that? Look at how they were beforehand. It definitely has a lot to do with Burrow for sure. Yeah. But it's weird. I know it's a weird thing to say, but I really don't like Zach Taylor as a coach. I never have. But last year, especially towards the second half, they seem to have figured it out. They seem to have figured it out. Now, I haven't really been paying too close attention to the Bengals, but in this game against the Ravens, I was not overly impressed by their play calling either.
Yeah. Some very questionable play calls in that game.
Yeah. And I mean, but the real story, of course, is Lamar. I mean, when I say it was a statement win or whatever I said, I stand by that. And the reason I said that is because this is how everyone's looking. How is Lamar going to look in this new offense? We've seen him blow people out in Roman's offense and everything. An offense catered to one of his many abilities, and just seeing how that goes. It's unstoppable, but is it actually unstoppable? We've seen it get stopped before. How do the Ravens adjust? That's been their struggle outside of the injuries that have been their struggle for the last 3 years. But this game, we really got to see. You said, yeah, there was a couple chances. There was chances for him to. He stayed in the pocket. He stayed behind. He used his legs to create throws and everything. He didn't just. In Roman's offense, Roman would be having him run to try and create it if this thing's not there. But Lamar, in this one, he's going through his progressions. He's making the right reads. He was amazing. I think I was more impressed with his victory this week against the Bengals than I have been since that original one in 2019 when the opener when they blew out the Dolphins 59-10, and Lamar had a perfect passer rating and threw 5 touchdowns. I was just like, whoa. But this one, when we talk about seeing the next thing from Lamar, this is what people mean when they say seeing the next thing from Lamar. Like, he really is turning into a complete quarterback. Like, he doesn't have weaknesses.
Do you guys think that his running is different? Like, when you have seen him run, don't you think he's running a little bit different than he did last year and the year before that? Or is it just
No,
like,
it's definitely not you. It's definitely not you.
I feel like he's running like, I don't want to say with fear, but like it's a little bit more timid than he usually does.
I think that's the consequence of the last 2 years, the injuries, of him realizing like he's got to be more aware and protect himself. I will say this: I've worked at my job. I've talked with the athletic trainer at my job about the mindset of athletes coming off injury, and she's mentioned that sometimes, at least at the college level, you've seen athletes that you got to get on them and be like, "Hey, nothing's going to happen. We fixed the issue. You're good to run." Like, we've had to tell players on some of our teams, like, you can go out there and like actually like run the bases or run up and down the court. You're going to be fine. So maybe it could be something like that. I will say this though: if we're talking about injuries, Joe Burrow is questionable for Monday night against the Rams because of his calf injury. He may have restrained it. The Bengals' backup quarterbacks are Will Grier and Jake Browning. How, on a scale of 1 to Nathan Peterman, how fucked are they if Burrow gets hurt?
0-3. They'll lose to the Rams on Monday night. I'll tell you that.
Could happen. With that being said, 40, let's talk about your team real quick. So, how are we feeling, Washington fan?
I'll say this. We definitely have a whole new team in Washington. We have a whole new mentality. We have a whole new discipline, because the Washington from last year, or even the year before that, or even any of the years before that, being down 21-3, that game is over and ends in a fucking blowout. We all know it. All three of us sitting here on the screen right now know it. If we were down 21-3, even last year, that game probably ends 45-10 or something of that nature. We came out and had a great defensive half. That second half, there was an actual drive where De'Aaron Payne was the person who caused every stop from first down to third down, and they literally called it the D Payne drive. He had to tackle on first down, second down, and third down. It was insane. But yeah, I feel like we have a whole new team over there, a whole new discipline. I love the way that we come together as a team to fight back and get back into that game. And I also got to give Eric Bieniemy a lot of credit, man, because we're averaging 27.5 points a game in the first 2 games here. I think the Chiefs are averaging somewhere between 17 and 18 points a game in the first 2 games there.
Yeah, it's not fun. Not fun with the Chiefs right now.
So, a lot of people didn't want to give Bieniemy his credit from when he was in Kansas City, but you see the difference from Washington and Kansas City this year in the first 2 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong. Kansas City will probably turn it up eventually, and they'll be scoring 30 points a game in no time again. But I'm just saying, based on the stats right now and the statistics right now, Bieniemy played a big part in that Kansas City offense over there. So, yeah, shout out to Bieniemy, man, and shout out that defense too. I'm excited for what we got going over there in Washington, and I think our first true test will actually be this week. Like I said, we don't know what Buffalo team will get week in and week out, but on paper wise, I think Buffalo is probably the toughest team we've played in this first 3 weeks. So we'll get a real test this week, a real battle with some good number 1 receivers on the other side. So we'll see this week what we're made of, but I like where we're going right now.
Very impressive win over the Broncos. That's a very, very impressive win. Howell also has impressed me more than I thought he would. I just thought he would. I mean, he hasn't necessarily blown me away, but he's done the job. He's able to operate the enemy's offense with pretty good precision. I think that stands for something. That's more than I just didn't think he'd be this ready. I mean, sure, yeah, he makes a ton of mistakes. We all see them. We're like, oh yeah, look, he's a young quarterback.
Yep.
That being said, I still think considering my expectations were like pretty low for him, I would say he's proved me wrong already. Like if he keeps this up, I'm going to be very. If he keeps this up, I think Washington's due for a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's been very exciting 2 weeks, but we have the Bills and then the Eagles the next 2 weeks, so we can go from undefeated to 500 in a heartbeat if we don't come out and play the way we're supposed to.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm going to say this right now. It's very refreshing to see the commies playing so well. With that being said, though, I will say that kind of did get away with some PI on that last play against Denver. I'll give Denver credit. I hate Sean Payton's guts, but I don't know what he said to those boys, but he got them. That comeback they had in the last 2 minutes was really, really impressive, and one of those 1 in a million situations that you're not going to see again. I think Washington did get away with a little PI there at the end. Everyone was freaking out about it. It was like, oh, I mean, they kind of did, but also it's like, I'm a professional hater. I don't want Sean Payton to succeed. Broncos country, let's die. Yada yada yada. One last thing to talk about with this week's games, because I know there's so much to talk about. I'll just put this one in for the breaking news because it's no one's surprise Saquon Barkley got hurt in the Giants' comeback win over the Cardinals. If you didn't watch this game, Cardinals were up 28-7. Giants then randomly hit a switch and went crazy and beat Arizona, but it doesn't really matter if you ask me because Arizona is the worst team in the league. Saquon Barkley sprained his ankle and he will be out for the game against San Francisco on Thursday, even though there was some potential that he may be available to play. It did come up briefly. I know in my fantasy football chat, some of the guys who are Giants fans were like, "Oh, he heals quick. He might be able to play." It's like, nah, guys. Saquon Barkley, he's not going to play. But I will say that, good job to the Giants, though. That was for the first half of that game. Everybody pretty much agreed. Yeah, he's gonna. There's no way there's no way the Giants are going to win this game. They're going to start 0-2. This is the biggest joke we've ever seen. And then apparently, from what I read, Brian Dable started calling the plays in the second half, and well, look at that. They won. They just completely dominated.
He has to do that more because the last 6 quarters have been disgusting before he hit them. Like, just horrible Giants football.
Seriously.
Ugly. And Saquon's out. He's a huge part of their comeback.
Yeah. But it does give credence to this whole argument that running backs need to be played more, because along with the Saquon injury, we saw Nick Chubb had his knee disintegrated.
Same knee he injured in Georgia too, so who knows?
Yeah. There is this ongoing argument that running backs need to be paid more, that quarterbacks are getting too much money. NFL running backs, they've had meetings about this, and now there's been like this report coming out that some NFL teams were telling running backs to fake injuries. It's like, they need to be paid more because these injuries are taking their toll. Running backs, the NFL goes through running backs like I go through a box of Cheez-Its. Maybe if a week is a season, then I go through a different running back each week, basically. It's one of those. It's a situation where you see. We recently saw Patrick Mahomes ask for his contract to get restructured, so to ensure that he's getting paid more money than Joe Burrow. And it's like, at some point, one of these teams is going to say no to their quarterback and be like, no, we got to share the load because we can't run the ball and we need to ensure that we have a running back. At some point, somebody's going to say, no, you've been paid enough. We have to pay our other players, especially if the running backs are having all of these meetings and are straight up unionizing and being like, we're not going to play if you don't pay us because we get the biggest brunt of all the injuries.
You say it like it's an inevitability, but I don't like the way the NFL does not value running backs. I don't think I would hope that you're right, and it's just they start getting paid more and everything just starts improving, but they don't seem to value them at all. So I don't, unless there's some, I don't know. I think they have to change the way that running backs sign contracts. I think they need to be top-heavy contracts with a lot of guaranteed money. That's what I think needs to happen. I think it needs to be like short-term guaranteed money contracts for running backs because, like injuries could happen. It's like they happen so often for running backs, and running backs in general just don't have a long career span. I mean, what can they do? I mean, not everyone's going to play until Frank 4 years old,
Yeah.
How these guys can make money if they don't. Like Saquon's missed a season. J.K. Dobbins is now going to miss, I think, 2 seasons. Chubb's out. I mean,
Chubb, who knows when Chubb will come back?
Yeah, that was a terrible one.
Yeah,
it's like these guys are on. Here's what I heard that I like. Running backs need to be paid the way that they're signed out of college. Everyone's on like a cheap rookie deal. They should change that for running backs. Maybe don't change how it is bringing them in after the rookie deal. Maybe don't change that. That's fine, whatever. That can be up to the agent and the running back and the team. But in terms of rookie contracts, these guys need to start making more because that's their whole career. A lot of time, that's their whole career. They need to be making NFL salary right out the gate because their career isn't going to last nearly as long as the others, and they're doing a ton of work. It's just not a very, very valuable position, so they're not getting paid as much. Like, what if Bijan goes down and he's out for the year? We've already seen that he's an unparalleled player. Like, he's phenomenal. And if he misses a year, plays next year and is super good, misses the year after that or a lot of games, like, no, he's not going to get paid for the amount of effort that he's put in when he is there. He's being put on a tiny rookie deal. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's the specific thing that has to change. Is specifically coming out, running backs, how much they're making. The rookie deals really hurt them more than anyone else.
100%, because not everybody's Adrian Peterson and can tear their ACL and then come back and win MVP the next year.
Yeah, that was nice. Adrian Peterson's a Hall of Famer, though. Like, not everyone's on that. Like you said, not everyone's on that level.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we only have about 7 minutes left in today's show, so I think that's enough time for us to transition to our game picks. That being said, though, does anyone have any other comments on week 2 of the NFL? I'll hear them now. Hold your peace.
The Chargers being 0-2 is crazy to me. That's probably about it.
Pain.
I don't know. I hope they get it turned around because they have a good team over there, and it's just weird to see that.
It's another example of bad coaching, I think.
Oh yeah, no, Brandon Staley is a terrible coach. I'm just saying, the Bucs are undefeated, and our defense has looked really good. And Baker has been balling out, and Mike Evans had arguably his best game as a pro.
As much as I hate that guy Baker, he has been impressing me the first 2 weeks. I will give him that.
Slinging it with confidence.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway though from this week was that Mike Evans had a yak.
Yeah, that was weird, right? That was weird. He had like a 79-yard run. Like, what? This guy doesn't even separate well, and he just runs away from people. I was like, whoa, Mike Evans doing it in year 8. All right. Old dogs can learn new tricks.
Hell yeah, man. So, barring that the Bucs don't pay him, I'm just sputting out. We're undefeated, and it's good things are on the horizon. With that being said, it is time for week 3. Let me quick recap of week 2. So,
had a terrible week too. We don't even need to talk about that.
Yeah, Calvin will just say Calvin finished with a losing record.
No.
Kylie was 8-8. Calvin, you were 7-9. It was a good week for me though. I was 12-4. So yay. On the overall leader, in our terms of our games leaderboard, I'm currently leading the pack with a 21-11 record. Noam, you are second at 8-8 from week 1. That's holding you down. Calvin and Kylie are tied at 14 and 18 each. In terms of overall who wins each week, I've won both weeks so far. So
yeah, I'm
get on my level.
I'm sweeping this week.
We'll see about that.
Because a lot of those teams that I picked to win on the podcast, I didn't even pick them in my parlays, which is absolutely sickening and incredible to me.
Wow, why?
I don't know.
Well, with that being said, Kylie has submitted her picks for week 3. So we'll start with Thursday Night Football as, oh, brother, the best team in football, the San Francisco 49ers, play the New York Giants. Kylie's taking the Niners. Unsurprisingly, I'm also taking the Niners, especially now that Saquon's out.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
No one's taking the Giants. You kidding me? The Niners are the best team in the league right now. Yeah, give it them.
San Fran me.
All right. Sunday's early games. First up, Anthony Richardson takes on Lamar Jackson. Colts versus Ravens. Kylie is going with the Ravens. I'm also going with the Ravens. Colts are just not there right now.
Ravens keep it going. 3-0 Ravens.
Yeah, I think they're kind of in different tiers as teams right now. They're just, like you said, Colts ain't there.
Yeah. Now this one's interesting. Titans versus Browns. The Browns just signed Kareem Hunt to a 1-year deal to replace Nick Chubb. I don't think it's going to help because Tennessee looked actually pretty good against the Chargers. Kylie's taking the Titans. I'm actually going to take the Titans too. I think Tennessee showed a lot of fight. I don't think Tennessee is going to be competitive this year, but I think early on this is a game that they can easily win. So I'm going to take Tennessee.
The reason I'm going to go with Cleveland is because we've seen in the first 2 weeks, Tennessee's DBs can't cover a number 1 receiver, and I think Amari Cooper has a big game this week.
Okay.
I'm also going to take Cleveland. I just kind of think they're a much better team than the Titans right now. All of the Titans were not terrible last week. I think Cleveland's winning.
Fair enough there. This game right here is probably the one most interesting game of the entire week. Falcons versus Lions, 2 young teams on the rise. As good as the Falcons have looked through their first 2 games, I think Detroit bounces back from their overtime loss to the Seahawks and gets the win here. Kylie's thinking the same thing. She's going with the Lions. What do you guys got?
Lions.
I'm going to agree with you guys. Lions.
With that being said, Bijan's going to have a really good day because he's looking amazing. Saints versus Packers. Kylie's going with the Saints, but after watching that Monday night debacle, fuck that, Packers. Go Green Bay.
I'm also going with Green Bay on this one.
Who does Green Bay play?
The Saints.
Oh, yeah, Green Bay.
Yeah.
And they'll bounce back this week. And I
gonna
think they get Aaron Jones back this week, too. So
I'm going to get a text from Kylie as soon as this episode goes live when I submit the picks that she's going to be like, why did I pick the Saints? No, I picked the Packers. It's like, no, you got to stick with it. Texans, Jags, everyone's favorite AFC South rivalry. Why? Oh, why do we keep getting AFC South rivalry games? I hate these.
Say rivalry like it's going to be a game. That's interesting. Interesting take, I say.
So we're all saying Jacksonville?
Yeah, like 30.
I just want to say this. The only notable moment, there's only been 2 notable moments in the history of the Jacksonville-Houston rivalry. One, it's that the first game after Hurricane Harvey decimated Houston. The Jaguar was the debut of Saxonville, where they just blew the shit out of the Texans. And 2, it's the game where Blaine Gabbert had his infamous "Whoa there, motherfucker" moment. That's the only 2 things that have ever happened to this rivalry.
I do remember that.
Broncos are taking on the Dolphins. I don't know, guys. Highest scoring team in football versus the Broncos. Kylie and I agree. Go Dolphins.
Yes. Much better team. Flores, DC is doing what everyone expects him to do at this point. I don't see how the Broncos can do anything.
Hey, I told y'all when Noam was on here 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, whenever it was, Miami's taking that AFC East. So no harm.
Looks like a hot take.
Yeah. Chargers versus Vikings. Can the Chargers finally get a win? Or 2 teams we all expected to have a win by this point. Can they finally get a win? Kylie's going with the Vikings. I will also go with the Vikings, but I think this game is going to break the record for most turnovers in NFL history. You heard it now.
I got to rock my boy, man. I got to go with Kirk Cousins, man.
I knew it. Waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
Justin Herbert just hasn't impressed me in the first 2 weeks, man. Kirk Cousins is on pace right now for 6,000 yards.
Yeah, I say that like I'm not also going Vikings for my pick. I absolutely am. You can't guard Justin Jefferson. No one can. Whatever.
And Jordan Addison's been playing great in the first 2 weeks, too.
He has. The Vikings secondary is predictably dog shit and a whole mess, and nobody knows what the hell's going on back there. But I don't think that's going to be enough for the Brandon Staley coach team.
Yeah, no, not at all. All right, Patriots Jets AFC East showdown. Kylie's going Patriots. I also am going Patriots because, good God, Jets. You know, I'll give the Patriots this. They have been competitive in both their losses, so I think they're going to break through and get a win here. And also, it's the Jets. So
I agree. I think they are.
Yeah, I'll give Billy to win this week.
there you go. This one's going to be interesting. Bills Commanders. This might be a make or break game for the commies. This is going to be the game to prove they're legit. Kylie's going Buffalo. I am actually going to go with the Bills. I really wanted to pick Washington, but I don't think I trust them enough because both of their games, I like the heart I've seen from both of their games. But guys, they've played two of the worst teams in the league, and as legit as they've looked, they both of those games came down to the wire.
Yep.
That being said, though, I think this game's going to be insanely close.
This one's going to come down to the wire too. And let me tell you why we're going to win the football game, because Josh Allen fucking sucks and he's going to throw us an interception that didn't even need to be thrown. He's going to throw the ball right to somebody right in their hands, and we're going to seal the game just like that. 30-24 commies.
I like it. He's gonna have a check down that's gonna be an open first down. He's gonna be like, nah, and disagree and throw deep, get picked off like Cameron Curl, call it. That being said, Bill, I'm still gonna take the Bills. I can't believe in the commies enough, but I can see them doing it. But the Bills are still kind of the Bills, man. Like, I don't know.
I really, really want Washington to win.
Yeah,
I think Buffalo's gonna win.
We start 3-0. I promise you. They need to start talking about us after that.
I want
We can be special.
I want them to win. Like, I really want them to win.
We start 3-0. We're beating the Eagles week 4 too. I promise you that.
Oh, I'm kind of glad Kylie's not here. Kylie would have leapt through her screen at that one. Moving on to the late games. Panthers versus Seahawks. I'm just gonna put Seattle for all of us.
Yeah, go ahead. Don't ask the question.
I will say this about Seattle. There was a little worrying week 1. Week 2, they were like, nope, Gino's not a 1-year wonder. He's actually, he's good, and we are good, and we're going to blow up on offense. And then the Panthers are the Panthers. So, like Corey said, don't even need to ask.
Yeah. Cowboys and Cardinals. Yes, once again, the Cowboys are on national TV.
Very funny, Isaac. Very funny. Ha, ha. Ha, ha, ha. Very funny. Cowboys, Cardinals. Hilarious. All right.
Yeah.
No one's taking the Cardinals, right? Like, no one's doing that.
No. Everybody is taking Dallas. Everyone is taking Dallas, except for Cotton. No, I'm kidding.
I would be like, why?
What's crazy is the NFC East probably has the top 3 defensive lines.
It really does.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And add in the fact that Micah Parsons is on track to win Defensive Player of the Year after that performance against the Jets. Like, I mean, it's the Jets, so it's like,
Washington and Dallas. Eagles, I don't think at the third best. I think they're in the top 5 though. Still, that's crazy.
Now, if you guys thought those first 2 late games were exhilarating, wait till our third late game, Bears Chiefs. Oh boy. Look, I'll say this much: as bad as the Chiefs' offense has looked, the Bears are dog shit, and Justin Fields needs to get benched. Although he did say in a press conference today that when somebody asked him, "What do you think is the main contributor to your struggles?" he's like, "I don't know, man. Maybe coaching." It's like, oh,
what's crazy is we sit here and we're like, Chiefs, Bears, shit like that. But the NFL being an entertainment sport and them being able to legally rig it, all of these teams that we're picking, one of them's not going to win that is supposed to win. Somebody's going to lose.
Well, that's going to be Monday night game.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Are you saying that it's going to be the Bears or the Chiefs are going to lose?
No. I'm just saying in all these games in general, like there's a couple of games where we said, nobody's picking this team. Nobody's picking this team. There is going to be somebody in the betting world that picks one of those teams and wins big money because
if Dallas loses to the Cardinals, I'm out. I'm never speaking to any of you guys again. If the Cowboys somehow lose to the Cardinals or not,
that'd be insane.
Oh my god,
it would be insane. Like, sure, you can even say like Dobbs has looked pretty all right when you consider his situation. Like, he hasn't been.
Well, actually, hasn't really. He actually hasn't.
4th tier quarterback, hasn't been like the 100th best quarterback in the league like we all thought, but it's Dallas with he has no chance. Like, there's just no way if they somehow blow it up and Dak's just like, I'm just gonna throw it. I'm I'm going to throw 6 pick sixes because why not? I'm back. I'm going to do that every now and then. If he does that, I'll be speechless. Like it's impossible. It better not be them. All right, it better not be the Chiefs, Bears either. But at least you can say the Chiefs are having offensive struggles, and maybe the Fields turns it on. It's really
I know who
exciting.
it's going to be. It's going to be the Commanders. We're the big underdogs this week. We'll come out on top.
Chiefs for me.
So we're all taking Kansas City, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Sunday Night Football. Oh, brother. Steelers, Raiders. Woo! Kylie's taking Pittsburgh. I'm going to take the Raiders just because Pittsburgh had negative yards against the Browns at one point in the fourth quarter.
The Browns. They have a good defense. The Raiders have like the worst defense in the league.
Yeah, I'm going to go Steelers just because the Steelers defense is actually ridiculous. Like, I think they had 2 defensive touchdowns the other day, didn't they?
I think they lost.
They did. And it's going to be a final score of 6-3.
I know he left the game. I'm going to take the Steelers too, just because. Yeah, like I could see the Raiders theoretically winning, but like I don't see how they're going to stop any. Who's going to tackle Najee Harris? Who can? Who's not going to bounce off? The Raiders defense has zero identity.
We'll find somebody. Hold on. I just saw breaking news. I just saw a video of UMD's pep rally, and I'm scared for the next generation of college kids. Anyway, last 2 games, Monday Night Football. Tampa Bay versus Philly. You know, this is the real reason Kylie's not on the show this week, because me and Kylie would be cussing at each other the whole time. Yeah. Good old-fashioned.
Next week.
Probably. Good old-fashioned. This used to be one of the best rivalries in the NFL.
I actually think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think it's going to be.
I can see it.
Just because Tampa Bay doesn't have the worst defense ever that we've seen. They actually have a pretty stout defense. It's, all right, to say the least. So even with that being said, I still feel like Philly's going to sneak it out of there. But then again, I don't know, man, because Jalen Hurts has been pissing me off. He hasn't gone over 200 yards in the first 2 games yet.
He hasn't been spectacular.
Yeah.
Really, he hasn't been, inspiring, really.
That last game, I actually needed him to go over 200 yards for sports betting purposes, and he didn't do that. So,
we're well aware he didn't do that.
Man.
We were in the chat.
Fuck that guy. Honestly. No, I literally had a parlay that consisted of Jalen Hurts 200 passing yards, Jordan Addison 3 catches, Jordan Addison 50 yards receiving, and then Justin Jefferson 75 yards receiving.
You're so mad.
Everything cleared. Jalen Hurts is 7 yards short of 200 yards. And this is the thing. Fuck Rashad Penny too, because Jalen Hurts cleared the 200 yards with that touchdown pass to A.J. Brown, but it got called back because Rashad Penny had the holding.
You're pissed.
I couldn't believe it. I was so pissed that day. Honestly, so pissed.
That's an amazing part. I would say take that parlay every freaking week. I cannot believe that did not 7 yards.
Yeah.
Oh.
But with that being said,
Eagles or Bucks.
I got to give the Eagles the win because I think we're going to beat the Eagles next week. So I don't think they're losing 2 weeks in a row. So they're definitely there. I'll give the Eagles the win this week.
Kylie agrees with you. Noam, who you got?
So Hurts has not been overly inspiring. Is that mini 40?
Yep.
40 junior? 20? I disagree. The Bucks will not win.
Hey.
They could, because the Eagles have not been who they were last year. Last year, they were a juggernaut who just for anyone. This year, that's not them. This year, that's not the Eagles. That being said, they still could be. They're still phenomenal, and the Bucks are still kind of super. What she's doing.
She really disagrees with you.
Yeah. No, she agrees. She's doing this is what the Bucks are.
Hey, you know what?
Eagles. Take Eagles.
You know what? She is the only one who is agreeing with me right now that the Bucks are legit. I don't care.
That's the Bucks. That's the Bucks offense.
You know what? She agrees with me. Go Bucks, baby. Tampa Bay. This is my upset of the week. Tampa Bay gets to 3-0. Who needs Tom Brady when we got Baker Mayfield in the kitchen? Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, she
Strongly
gets it.
disagree.
Yeah.
Disagrees with you.
Yeah. Go Bucks. Woo.
She says Baker over Tom. She's freaking out.
Hey, our offense has looked better in 2 games than it did all of last season with Tom Brady. Just putting that out there. It did. It did. Name one game last year where our offense looked good. You can't because they were bad.
I cannot.
Our final game of the week, Monday night, the second game on Monday Night Football. What is with putting 2 games on Monday night? That's stupid. The Super Bowl 56 rematch, Rams Bengals. Kylie's going with the Bengals, but me being me, being a contrarian, I don't know, man. Rams look really good. Stafford's been playing pretty good. Puka Nacua has been incredible. Tutu Atwell has been balling out. They might need to get rid of Cam Akers, but other than that, with Joe Burrow playing the way he's been playing, go Rams, baby. Rams get the win.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Bengals get their first win this week. I don't know what you're smoking, Isaac, but pass that shit.
You want them?
Yeah, Bengals win this week. I think Joe Burrow gets his stuff together, and the Bengals Can you relax? Joe Burrow gets his stuff together, and the Bengals as a whole get their stuff together, and they'll get their first win this week.
I don't even think they need to necessarily get it together to beat the Rams because the Rams are all around just a huge freaking mess. Even if Stafford plays really well, even if the Bengals aren't great, they just have too much talent. I think like the Rams need to be flawless, and the Bengals need to really fuck up for the Rams to win. So I'm going to take the Bengals, but I could see it being close actually. Like I could see it being like kind of like a 3-point game. But yeah, Bengals. I can't believe in the Rams, you know.
All right. I guess it's me against the world for Monday Night Football. Well, I'm going to go ahead and lock our picks in. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Beer Battered Sports Podcast. Remember, this series is a proud affiliate of the Fired Up Sports Network. You can follow us on all of our social medias at @bbsports_pod, and check out our x.com bio for merch before Elon puts it up behind a paywall, because that apparently is going to happen. With that being said, big thank you to Gnome / aka Defender of the North for coming on board. I will call you that for the rest of the time, for coming on the show today. And with that being said, we will see everybody next week for episode 84. Peace. Hold on. Peace.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.